Pretty sure I don't have to do the electronic meeting motion because we're not going to be taking any action today. Meeting is just for informational purposes. Assessor Will Hoyt has been so kind to come and talk to us today and to talk about the 2021 reappraisal, and also to make her and her staff available for any questions that we have. And so I will just turn it over to you, Assessor Will Hoyt, so that you can start.
Good evening. How are you doing? How's everyone doing today? Chairperson Toombs, thank you for inviting my staff, my incredible staff, and me to this opportunity to provide you with the rollout of the 2021 reappraisal. Before I begin, I would like to just briefly, if we could, just pay a brief homage, very brief, to my friend, my mentor, Senator Thelma Harper, in her passing. It is fitting that I do this because she is one of the reasons why I sit here today. And I just want to simply say that Senator Harper was more than just a senator to me. She was my mentor, my close friend, and Nashville mother in politics. From the start of my college years at Tennessee State University in 1981, where she and her late husband, Mr. Paul Harper, impacted on my life in college advocacy, to this very day, she was our rock. She left a legacy of fruitful thoughts and advice, like saying, go when they don't expect you to be there. And she also would say, it's not always what it seems, so dig deeper. And my favorite, her Easter egg hunt, saying that kids are special too. My deepest prayers goes out to Linda and Bobby, her daughter and son-in-law, who were the joy of her life. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mother Senator Harper, for feeding into me as a leader to help me feed and help others. So thank you for this moment, for me to say that to you and the world. So as we begin, this is an amazing day for my staff. We have put together a presentation that's just going to briefly take you through just a reminder of what the reappraisal purpose is about and what were the findings of the reappraisal. I'd like to share my screen, if you would, please. Is that there?
No, they'll need to give you access.
I would need access to share my screen, to share this presentation. Thank you.
Okay. It's in the second row. Yep.
Mm-hmm. As I stated before, this is one of the most crucial times of a county's revenue budget time, or budget time is a better word to say, to know what is the reappraisal as we go forward in reference to the values being provided to Davidson County property owners. I also have here with me some folks of my incredible staff. I have Mr. Randy Ward, who is the manager of the residential division and will be moving into the operations chief deputy. I also have here in the room with me Mr. Brad Pigg, who is our IT deputy chief. I have also Mrs. Christy Scott, who is the deputy chief of administration. And to make sure that I don't get off schedule here in reference to this slideshow, as Councilmember Bradford note can happen, I have here with me Mr. David Booth, of course, and to ensure that we move easily through our presentation. I want to just share some information just to remind the council members in reference to why we have a reappraisal. And that is so very important for us to get to the end results that all of you are looking for. First, we are obligated under a 4-year plan by the State Board of Equalization. It is to reappraise, of course, and our last reappraisal was in 2017. When we're done with one reappraisal, everyone, we start immediately on the next reappraisal. It's very important that we do, because there's a lot that goes into inspecting, identifying, and classifying the properties of Davidson County. We have grown since the last reappraisal. We're now at 260,000 plus parcels. And in the first 3 years, Of the 4-year cycle, we are doing visual inspections. In that 4th year is when we are establishing, calibrating, and analyzing our value models. Another reason why we reappraise is because as we go from one appraisal to another, reappraisal to another, market values do not always change uniformly across the county. So in order for us to restore the equity and values, the reappraisal must be done. And as a result of it, we do not want someone who's in a cold market or depressed market to pay more than their fair share of tax burden. We don't do some wild blank guess, and you can put your own blank into that one. We are governed by best practices. We analyze sales data in our market. We use the cost, income, and market approaches to value. We comply with the uniform standard of professional appraisal practice and we use the short use PAP, and of course, our governing body, the State Board of Equalization guidelines. Once the values are established, they are established as of 1/1 of that year. So while we sit here in the month of April, the values that are being provided to you, if you did not appeal, it would be effective as of 1/1 this year. So what is it that we know as a result of the reappraisal? Now we get into the rubber that meets the road. 34.5% of the countywide median appraised percentage increase is the result that we found in this reappraisal. 34.05% is the countywide median appraisal percent increase. Keep that in mind. There was 4.9% of new construction, that's real growth, not the personality, but real growth in 2020. The council district median, which is the appraisal percentage that I just mentioned, the 34.05%, is simply that, a percentage. Some property values will be lower than the median appraisal percentage, and some will be higher than the median appraisal percentage. We're going to provide to you the median appraisal percentage for each council district, and know that it includes all property classifications. Property owners can appeal their values if they disagree. The best method is to complete an online review by visiting our website, and we're going to talk a little bit more on that because we have a whole, just a little slide piece on that, or just giving some more details on that. But one of the other points we want to bring out that you are very much aware just by watching what has been going on, the news, the media, and what have you, is that residential values are strong. Residential actual increase is at 33.7%. The commercial sectors like apartments and industrial, they're doing very well. We all have heard on the news and have read in the paper and what have you, where there has been $6 to $9 billion in 2020 permits, and that's record breaking for and in the history of Davidson County. Giving you some historical data, in the last reappraisal, the median appraisal percentage increase was 37%. So now when you see 34.05% in comparison to 37% of the 2017 reappraisal, that tells you Nashville's market is still trending upward, or trending strongly, is a better way of saying it. Years 2009, 2017, and 2005, respectively, those were the highest years for formal appeals. So it's going to be interesting to see the number of appeals that are filed in the informal review, the formal review, and thereafter. As I stated in the previous slide, you have the right to appeal, and that is so very important. We think that's very, very important. The deadline to file an informal review, which is the first step, you don't have to take that step, but it is the first step, is May 21st, 2021 by 4 p.m. Property owners will be notified no later than June 11 of 2021 in reference to the decision of those informal reviews. The best method, as I was stating in the other slide, is to file it online at our website at www.padctn.org, or you can call our office at 615-862-6059, and our staff of appraisers will be glad to assist you in filing an informal review request. Now, if you disagree with the decision of the informal review, The property owner can then schedule their appeal to the independent Metro Board of Equalization. You can do that scheduling of your appeal from the date of May 24th, 2021 until the deadline date of June 25th, 2021 at 4 p.m. That is critical that you know at 4 p.m., not 4:01, not 4:02, not 4:15, 4 p.m. What is also critical to know is the failure to schedule your appeal of your assessment to the Independent Board of Equalization by the deadline date may result in the assessment becoming final without further right of appeal. Now, once the Metro Board of Equalization adjourns, a decision will come from them by mail, giving you 45 days to appeal to the State Board of Equalization if you disagree with the Metro Board of Equalization. Once again, failure to schedule an appeal of your assessment to the Independent Metro Board of Equalization by the deadline date may result in you having a finalized assessment value without further rights to appeal. Keep in mind also that you can appeal your rights, appeal your values every year. Now to something that everyone has been excited to see, the heat map. Let's start with the 2017 appraisal median percentage increase by council district. We have this by council district, and you can see here just visibly where the growth occurred in this map and as a result of the reappraisal, of seeing the reappraisal. In the center core, the urban core, and close to the center urban core. But look at what has happened now. In the 2021 reappraisal median percentage increase by council district map, it is showing how the values of their impact has moved towards the north of the county. And the values have kind of really been more just equally reflective from the prior reappraisal. It's just like flipping it, more or less, as one person has stated here in the office. So this has been pretty interesting to us. So this really concludes the reappraisal, 2020 reappraisal information that we have here on the slideshow. But surely take a look at some of the information that we provided each one of the council members in regards to their district. And I've heard from other council members who have asked about specifically their carving out of their particular district. And we will be happy to assist you in providing that type of information for your individual constituents. I know that there have been also questions that were asked in reference to having heat maps prior. We can do that going forward to the next reappraisal, which I plan on being here to provide that to you as we did when I was here beginning in 2016. But know this, we had a pandemic and we had so many other challenges before us, just like you and some of your place of employment or your home, families, businesses, and what have you. And we did our very best to push through and work through those challenges with folks having challenges with their own families to deliver a trusted, transparent product to you timely. So we felt that the best thing to do is provide you with a final heat map, because a preliminary heat map would have not necessarily would have given you the trend of where things were going, because things change as they did in 2017. I remember I was reminded that we had provided a preliminary map, and one of the areas that was leading as number one was near the fairgrounds. By the time we had finished the reappraisal, things had shifted, and it was near Tennessee State University. So we feel that the final product is where the rubber meets the road, and it gives you exactly an idea in reference to the status of Nashville, Davidson County. We want to thank you, Budget Chair, for allowing us to be here. And also presenting to you and the members of the Budget and Finance Committee, along to other Metro Council members who are on this at this presentation, as well as the viewing audience of Davidson County residents. We stand here for your questions. Or we sit here for your questions.
Thank you, Assessor Will Hoyt. And I am going to open the floor up for questions. Councilwoman Allen.
Madam Chair, two questions. One, I appreciate the information about appeals and when we've had the highest number of appeals, those 3 years that you mentioned. Do we have sort of a starting point for we assume some percentage either of the number of parcels or the total value? What information do we work on as the trustee works toward coming up with the what we think the new tax rate will be to keep us revenue neutral?
Trustee. Well, the trustee does not establish that. You establish that along with the mayor. You have to set the tax rate first, so the trustee cannot apply a tax rate to a value until our constituents have the opportunity to appeal their values.
Oh, okay.
And of course, when they appeal, they could, in fact, the value could be what they want it to be. The value could stay the same because we feel like we have a trusted product. So we have to go through the appeals process. During that time, at the same time, you will be going through the exercise again, deciding what will be the tax rate after a certified tax rate is released.
So when you say the certified tax rate, where does that come from?
The certified tax rate is a tax rate that is provided to ensure that the city government does not incur a windfall in revenues as a result of the reappraisal. So something that is established and approved by the state of Tennessee after reviewing our numbers. But that where it comes from is the result of ensuring that there is not a windfall of monies as a result of the reappraisal.
And when the state of Tennessee establishes that certified tax rate, what do they wait until the appeals process is complete, or do they make some assumption based on the prior years, and which one do they go with? These unusual ones or something that's more typical? Do we know that?
Throughout this reappraisal process, we've had a great working relationship with the administration. They do call and ask for numbers in reference, data is a better way of saying it, to help also come along in forecasting. So at the end of the day, it will be the mayor that will be announcing, Mayor John Cooper will announce that certified tax rate. And of course, you will go from there in doing your exercise regarding the budget. I don't want to speak for the administration, but the certified tax rate, as was done back in 2017, when the mayor at that time announced the certified tax rate, it came from the mayor. And we're going to do the same process this time. It will come from the mayor.
It will be announced by the mayor. Okay, that's helpful.
Yes, it comes from the mayor in reference to it being announced. I stated prior, it is approved by the state of Tennessee, so it's not like it's coming from the mayor. It is a tax rate that must be done by law. The law is set by the state of Tennessee. So by law, we cannot get a windfall. So the state of Tennessee is going to do their due diligence to ensure that it's not going to be to ensure that it will be a CTR that will not allow us to get a windfall of revenue.
Gotcha. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. And then one second question, if I may, Chair.
Sure.
When we look at commercial properties, you and I have had this discussion back and forth, and it's beginning to sink in, but sometimes I have to hear it 3 times. You base your appraisals on cost, income, and market. And our income this past year has just been totally atypical. How do we look at income knowing that it surely will be better in the upcoming years?
Okay, well, Council Lady, our appraisers, our amazing appraisers, we use the 3 approaches to value to arrive at value for commercial. So depending on what commercial property that we are looking at, we could use the sales approach, the income approach, or the cost approach. But know this, we are very much aware of the struggles of our our city businesses. We We are very much aware of the pandemic, and we've been very appreciative about the tools that we've been able to receive with the help of the administration in reference to looking at studies and looking at data and what have you, and us attending courses, because this is an issue nationwide, not just Nashville, Davidson County. So we will be taking those things into account as we have. These are the things we've taken into account as we have provided values to commercial property owners.
Great. All right. That's all my questions. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay, I see that Director Crumbo has his hand up. Director Crumbo?
Yes, thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I think, Council Lady Allen, for your question, we've got obviously a broad base of knowledge here on this call and the public overall, and I'm so compassionate to the complexity of these rules, the difficult job that our assessor and her team have had. So I'll just say that once and recognize it, and then make an attempt here to give you a very high-level answer to your question, what we're going to do inside of the administration. And then I think there'll be lots of time as we go through the budget process and so forth to get into more of those details. But, for now, what Vivian is referring to is that most all of the work to arrive at a certified tax rate is done through the assessment. Those where the big dollars are and so forth. What we need to exercise some judgment here for the general government is the allowance here for appeals that may be successful. And at this moment, what I'll be recommending is that we use really the same allowance that was our actual experience from 2017. And in one of Vivian's earlier slides here, she showed that these last few appraisal years have been, some of the biggest appeals in the history of the Metro government. And so here, where we're looking at an increase in our total assessed value, in the neighborhood of what we've seen, in this last appraisal year, maybe the one before, I think it just makes good sense to recognize what our actual experience has been. And we don't really have any evidence that I'm aware of right now that would say that we should do something more than that or do something less than that. But Vivian's made such a nice point of recognizing the extraordinary nature of this pandemic. And so probably what I'll be recommending to the council once we, go through all this is that we use that actual experience. And then as we get part of the way through this next year, if there's some reason to believe that we need to make an adjustment that, hey, the appeals are going to be successful, collections may go down, we'll probably handle that in the same manner that we did when we were looking at some dangers mid-year last year. And so I wish there were a better answer than that. I really think that's the best we're going to do. But I think for the taxpayers too, I understand that the state law allows for some recapture if perhaps what we allow for is just way too much. And I understand that we really haven't had that happen in recent memory of the Metro government. I am going to look into that, but it's my understanding there's some provision there if it were way off based on the actual experience from last time, that perhaps there's some readjustment in the following year. So we'll be looking into all of it, but I think as simple as it sounds, we're going to look to our last year's experience to apply that allowance, arrive at that certified tax rate, and then my understanding is the mayor will probably be talking about that final value in his State of the Metro address next week. So hope that helps.
That's great. I appreciate both answers. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. I do have a question on behalf of Councilmember Evans, who didn't think she'd be able to make it this afternoon. She was wanting to know, when it comes to the values and like the heat map, how much impact does development have in determining the percentage above or below the median value?
Well, okay, so repeat that question one more time, Councilmember Bradford.
Sure. So how much does development impact the final percentage of an area when it comes to the percentage of value? Or does it have any impact?
Well, in the percentages that we've provided in reference to the median percentages, let me just ensure here that I'm being given my notes. It's Just one moment. Okay, exactly. Well, of course, yeah. It impacts the reappraisal because it's reflected in the market and looking at the sales and what have you, and of course using the approach to value with this income approach, cost approach, and the sales approach. So it's reflected in the market. But in the percentage medium, that's just the overall increase from the last reappraisal to this reappraisal.
Okay. And I had another question, but it just slipped my mind. Does the property values or the appraised values that you found, did the type of zoning the property had make any reflection on that value?
We do look at zoning, yes.
Okay. And if I remember that other question, because that wasn't it, I'll raise my hand again.
All right.
All right, Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Ms. Willard, for this presentation, very detailed. My question is along the same line as everyone else, but specifically, I'm interested more in areas that were impacted with tornado and flood. How does that play into your assessment? Because somebody whose property is damaged with flood or damaged with a tornado, having them to pay at the same rate as it was before will be very challenging. And so I wanted to see if that was, if that is factored into your calculation, and if people will expect some sort of relief. It's a bad thing to happen, but it will be worse if you have to also pay a lot of taxes on that house. So would you speak to that if you don't mind, please?
Well, whenever there have been major impact on the city through storms and what have you, we've gotten out immediately to talk with the community about the fact that in our toolbox are two laws that allow us to be able to make adjustments if the property is uninhabitable or not operative by a certain time of the year. So we utilize that in reference to properties that are impacted. Because we do have to have a cutoff, and of course, through special type of concessions from the state, such as what happened in the 2010 flood, we were able to go back out again, even though we were finishing up, pretty much picking up new properties, prorate and what have you. So with the point you're making, yes, we do take that into account when we are assessing property and establishing values. And again, as Council Member Berkeley Allens were asking regarding to properties that were impacted, we are very much aware of those impacted areas. As I stated before, we got out front and provide data to, or the laws to Davidson County property owners to let them know about the tools in the toolbox and to let us know if we do not have their information, to please let us know and reach out to us. So we have taken that into consideration in reference to us arriving at our values. But there is another tool, and that tool is the appeals process. And property owners will get that opportunity in a couple of ways. One, the informal review. That is when they come for us and, where they can file their own informal review with the values being released or being mailed beginning tomorrow, Friday, and also being made available online tomorrow. Tomorrow online, a property owner, if there's something they believe we did not get right or they disagree with a value, they can file their appeal online immediately tomorrow in the informal review status. Beginning on Monday, they would be able to call into our office, and that's Monday, April the 26th. They'll be able to call into our office and speak with one of our appraiser and have an informal review. We can assist them in filing it in reference to that. And then, of course, if they disagree with the informal review, or if they choose not to go the informal review route and go directly to the Metro Board, the Independent Metro Board of Equalization they will have that opportunity to call into our office at 615-862-6059 and file for an appeal before that independent board.
So specifically for the last flood, which happened in March, and I know that the value will be as of January 1. So would you say you were able to make, I know tornado happened a long time, but for this one, because it's very recent, were you able to take that March flood into consideration, or this block of property owners just need to know to look for the appeal specifically for them?
We were given information from the codes department that went out and did major assessments. We received that list from them, and we also received information from individuals. If we miss someone, that will be that opportunity right through that appeals process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe I saw Councilman O'Connell's hand. Councilman O'Connell.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is really a question for Director Crumbo more than anything, and I appreciate Madam Assessor being here and the Budget and Finance Committee pulling this meeting together. Director Crumbo, as we kind of saw anticipation of these rates toward the end of last week, the mayor asserted that Metro government had recently exited a period of insolvency. This was news to me. Obviously, there are times when council is in the dark about certain aspects of Metro's financial condition, but we'll be using the property tax rate to establish what I hope is a long-term stabilization of Metro's finances. And I just wanted to get your take on whether or not you agree with the mayor's characterization of our recent insolvency. That was not something I understood to be the case with regard to Metro's financial condition.
Well, I guess two things there. One is I'm not going to engage you, Councilman or others, and what the mayor said or didn't say last week and all the political things that come with that. What I will say is that despite any financial trends we've had, in the past, we're in a very stable place today. I think we're really close to being a very sustainable place, and a lot of that's going to be determined by the budget process here. And so I'm very confident where we are. I'm increasingly confident where we're going. I think that the work that we're seeing here by the assessor tells us that our economy is recovering well. It looks like we're having some nice growth here, and I'm really excited about the future of the city.
But there was no point from your management of Metro's finances that we somehow lost a condition of solvency. We were not out of cash or in a period where somehow we were not able to afford our expenses from the standpoint of your office.
But that's true. That's true.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Councilman Bradford, your hand's still up. Did you remember your question?
I sure did, Chair. I appreciate you coming back to me. So this question may seem very common sense after I ask it, but I'm just asking for clarification. So on the heat map where it shows each district and their percentage, I make the assumption that, for example, District 13 is 44%. That's both a combination of commercial and residential, or is that just a residential?
Commercial and residential.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Councilman O'Connell, your hand's still up. Did you have something additional?
I'm sorry, that's my fault, Madam Chair. I will pull it down.
I don't see any other hands. Assessor Wilhoit, in regard to particular districts, like District 2 had, I think, 50% average increase. And you just told Councilman Bradford that's a combination of commercial and residential. Would there be variation in the residential across the county? I mean, not the county, the district? So
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. There are actuals in reference to increase for both residential and commercial. Keep in mind, you can have like one big piece of commercial that's improved, and just based on that alone, for just that little district, could be a very large increase because they improvement. So we will make that disclaimer in providing that information if any council member would like to get that, but keep that in mind.
Okay. And so homeowners in a particular district, depending on where they live in the district, they could experience different results in terms of their tax bill?
Yes. Okay. Oh, absolutely, because they have different structures, and of course they have, they're unique in itself in reference to their property.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Councilman Bradford?
Yes, my apologies. This is for most of us, this is our first reappraisal process. So every time somebody asks something, I get another question. So 2 questions real quick. First, kind of piggybacking on Councilmember Toombs's. So I was kind of surprised when I saw the amount of increase for District 13. Listening to the explanation to the answer of the question just asked, did the assessor's office, did you look at the airport property and its value, or is that kind of left alone because it's kind of a private entity? Like, did you take into account if airport-owned property increased in value?
Now, airport-owned property, sir, yeah, I know that. That's okay. Airport-owned property is exempt. That comes from my days with the Tennessee Public Service Commission, which is considered like the 96th assessor. So when you're talking about utilities and what have you, and for-profit airlines, things like that, those are done by the Tennessee Regulatory Authority, is it called? But it's the Office of the Comptroller. The acronym is OSAP, that stands for Office of the State Assessed Properties. There we go. Office of State Assessed Property, OSAP. So it is exempt. Those are exempt properties.
Okay, because I was just wondering, they've done a lot of improvements over the last couple of years, and wondering if that's kind of what caused property values out here to shoot up. The other question I had, when you're looking at the different districts and how they've gone up or down, and you try to kind of pinpoint where there's been lots of improvements, lots of development, it doesn't seem like you can really find a pattern. And I'm all about trying to find a pattern to understand something.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, is there a pattern that you could give us to look at to kind of explain, like, for example, in my district, there's not been any major development housing-wise in nearly 20 years.
Right. Well, it's not.
In District 14, they've been growing, and there've been new houses like left and right, and they come in under us when it comes to the percent increase. But then you look at other areas such as Green Hills and parts of Bellevue where they don't really have a lot of large developments, and they come in under. So it's like, I would like to know if there's like a pattern or something that you can look for to kind of understand this.
Well, one of the things that you can probably understand is that people are looking for the best bang for their buck. Okay. So you will go where housing values may be lower. I mean, you're going to go where housing values have not really increased. You're going to go where there is more available housing, or if you decide to see a depressed area and said, hey, I'm going to buy over here and I'm going to improve. So they look at that type of real estate availability and go from there. Such is the case when you look at the map. There is a pattern. You in 2017, there was a focus on properties available to the downtown area that was, in a sense, affordable, or areas that were getting a more robust of investment. And it began from there. Now, once you can only do so much in an area that's already, existing in reference to property, and they're not making any more property, as you know. But subdividing properties were happening, and from there, it just expanded out. That same pattern, a domino effect, also occurred with other counties. So as Nashville becomes or is the booming area, and people began to buy up, sell, improve, subdivide, what have you, and the activity in the economy is impacting those areas, making it sometimes difficult for people to buy something at a more lower value. They begin to start looking further beyond the county line, which is happening in and being impacted in counties like Wilson and Cheatham and Sumner. And talking with my fellow assessors, which we talk often, that is what's happening. So that is one of the patterns right there. Yes, exactly. Have you looked at the sale? Yeah, and as I was saying, that's okay. No, that's what you're here for. I'm getting my great information from my amazing staff, and I love it. So because we're in this together. But when you're talking about your area of District 13, take a look at sales. Go to the website. Go to my website. Go to our website at www.padctn.org. Take a look at the sales that are in your district and around your district, and look at the economic activity in your area, and that speaks for itself.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam Assessor. I wanted to ask about, I appreciate the packet that you sent to us with the heat maps and the council breakdowns, the brochure, and so forth. A lot of us have our newsletters and, social media and so forth. And so we're trying to kind of reach our constituents on multiple platforms.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask, do you anticipate, I'm looking at your Twitter account now, and I'm just wondering, do you anticipate having kind of just some social media rollout that will have, it's often easier for us, right, just to kind of retweet, share via Facebook rather than kind of pulling out a graphic from an email, dropping in here. And so I just wondered if you could speak to your intent now that today is the 23rd, the announcement's been made. Can you speak to kind of your social media strategy to share this information, please? Thank you.
Absolutely. We are once again already out there, but on the social media that you're looking at now, I was given the respect of providing the information to the mayor, then also to the council members, and also to some of the staff in reference to the administration and to my staff as well. We don't want our staff to learn things in the news either. So yes, we're going to be very proactive in providing information there that you can retweet and reshare. Prior to today, we had already begun major email blasts to our listserv from our prior reappraisal in 2017 that we gathered there, as well as to constituents, your constituents or my constituents, no doubt, that we have gathered from over the years who've called our office. And we've also sent email blasts to our homeowners association, which is the first start. And we have about maybe 13 presentations already lined up after today. But of course, I do want to also provide information to your district, and you'll be getting an invitation for setting the date that's convenient for you and the constituents in your district, my constituents, because we want people to get this information where they are. Somebody's not watching the special meeting right now of the Budget and Finance. Someone may not catch the news, but we want to be able to meet Davidson County property owners where they are, to provide them the information and be comfortable in asking the questions that they want to ask us, and be transparent and provide the information that we want, that we need to share. So yes, ma'am, I will be having that when we get off this line today.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, let me see if there are any other hands. I do not see any other hands. Assessor Wilhoit, did you want to make any final comments?
Well, I want to say that I want to thank you, Budget Chair Toombs, and the members of the Metro Council for this opportunity, for my staff, my amazing staff. I cannot say that enough. My amazing staff and me to be able to give you this information, provide this information, and give you some talking points so that we can be consistent in our information to our constituents. we cannot say enough that we want property owners to trust our product. We want property owners to see the product with the same passion that we see it with. A product of value, a product of using data that was available to us, and a product of, as I say again, trust. So please, we're going to do in the next days coming, we want to partner with you, the council members, the media, and what have you, and getting the information out and offering up the opportunities through the appeals process, or just want to ask questions. Contact our office. 615-862-6059. We'll say that in the interest of not confusing everyone, because that's the number you're going to call to file your informal appeal or your Metro Board of Equalization appeal. But send me an email. I'm here. Vivian.wilhoit@nashville.gov. Doesn't bother me any. And don't be surprised if we reply to you at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd like to get the answers to you right away. So thank you again for this opportunity, and it is very much appreciated, no doubt.
And thank you again, Assessor Wilhoit. Thank you to you and your staff for taking the time out this evening to talk to us. We really appreciate it. And that concludes the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.